you ready for this?
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostborn, hunger.
This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew? Oh, I do. Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
Hello and welcome to the 37th episode of Trolling HGC. You'll notice we have a different host here tonight. I'm Bahgz. I'll be hosting tonight. LiQuid is unable to join us, unfortunately. He's having a family crisis, and he's being super dad right now. So if you guys know how to do that little Mimi Kirby looking thing that like sends him your strength, do it in chat right now, please, because he needs it, man. If you're religious, prayers for his family. They are having a situation. I'm not my place to say, but he's taking care of it. That being said, we're gonna make out all right because we've got Gonjagoon here with us tonight as my guest host. What's going on, my man?
Not much, man. Happy to be here. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast.
Glad you decided to lower your standards and yeah.
That's a French average line right there.
Exactly.
Listen, I've been itching to get you on. I haven't had the right opportunity, and I appreciate it for you being there in my moment of need, because without you, it would be a solo cast right now. So I appreciate it, my man.
No problem, man.
First and foremost, before we dive into the show, I want to give a big shout out to our patrons. Guys, you can check out the Patreon over at patreon.com/trollsgg, which I can actually pull up right now and preview for you guys. And I'm going to try and do that semi-smoothly. Here we go. We are at $22 of $25 a month towards our next stretch goal, which is guaranteed after-show games after every show. Unfortunately, tonight I will not be doing after-show games, because I have to go to work immediately at the conclusion of this show. I have to pack a lunch, throw my uniform on, and get the hell out of Dodge. So that will be happening then. But again, thank you to our patron supporters. You are the reason why we are able to keep producing the content we do, and the reason why we keep trying to produce more and more content due to your support. And if we keep getting more and more support, we're going to try and unlock more rewards. So keep that in mind. And a special thanks, we usually save this for the end, but I don't want to forget. Special thanks to Chieftain Super Dave for the extra support that he gives us every month. All right. I don't think oh man, still getting used to this whole OBS thing. I didn't pull it up for the Twitch viewers, but you know what? It's all right. We're going to keep trucking along here. Okay, now, the next thing I want to do is big shout out to Cavalier Guest. He came on the show last week. He is our troll of the week this week. He has both guested on the Nexus Trolls and Trolling HGC. Now, he is the coach of GFE and a content creator as well. He has a Discord full of valuable information, and he is the troll of the week this week. Just a big shout out to the guy for all the work he puts into the Heroes community.
What a troll.
And with that, I am going to spice up this.
Well, my name is Gonjagoon, Steve. I'm 28 years old. I've been playing Heroes of the Storm since the beta. It's my first MOBA, and I couldn't let it go. I just started playing and kept playing, and then I realized that, hey, I want to be okay at this game. So I kept playing. I like learning about the game. I like learning how to play as a team. I like to understand communication. I like to do all those different things. I love to watch HGC. I like to learn from HGC as well as provide my own commentary for the HGC games, which, by the way, if you guys are interested, Bahgz and I try to do a weekly Armchair HGC stream. We get together with a bunch of other guys in Discord. We kind of just chat, talk about the games, what we're seeing. and just give it our opinions on different things, try to guess drafts, and try to learn and understand together, as well as get super hyped, because some of those games get pretty hyped. So.
Exactly. That's a lot of fun. That's kind of actually one of my favorite things that we get to do in regards to Heroes, even almost more so than playing is. So it's kind of like a throwback to just sitting on the couch with your boys. And I guess I shouldn't say your boys; it's a little sexist. But with your buddies and just like watching with the peeps, watching the game, just having a couple of brewskis, eating some pizza or something, and just like and really enjoying the games that way as a fan. And then we do our best to kind of like analyze what's going on, but we're not pros, but we give our opinions, however right or wrong they may be. So that's been a blast. And guys, there's been a decent turnout for that, surprisingly, and a lot of people have really been enjoying it. So. Keep your eyes out to the Twitters and, try and tune in the next time that's happening, guys. So
the more the merrier.
For sure. All right, I don't have much news, but I am going to.
Tonight on the Trolls.gg podcast network, Trollin HGC proudly presents Heroes eSports news, notes, and drama with your hosts, LiQuid and Bahgz.
All right, so I don't have much news to talk about this week, but I do have a little, and that is the HGC Oracle has returned. So if you guys aren't subscribed to the the Heroes Esports YouTube, consider giving it a subscribe. They have some backstage stuff from the most recent Western Clash. They've got 3 episodes. It's really cool, is the best way to describe it. It's really cool to see these guys not in game, I guess, kind of just out in their regular, just doing day-to-day stuff or what's going on behind the scenes at these big tournaments. That's what I really like about it.
Yeah. Blizzard's been doing a pretty good job with these oracles at kind of telling stories about the players, allowing the audience, the community to see, another side of these players. Because a lot of the community, they don't. Well, I say a lot, but some of the community, they don't watch streams. They don't, see what these players do, outside of the HGC games they watch, and this is a good opportunity, I think, for a lot of the people to see, some interesting stories or to learn about their personalities and whatnot. I so far to date, my favorite Oracle episode was the one with MVP Black. And they kind of go into Rich's story, and he tells the story.
The very last one from BlizzCon, right?
Yeah. It was so good. Like I got super emotional. I was like, dang. Not only is this guy the god of Heroes of the Storm, he's actually human. That's
hard to believe, right? He's not a robot. Yeah. He's not a robot sent from outer space to destroy us in Heroes of the Storm. No, what I like about it, my favorite thing about it is it does build that personal connection that you normally wouldn't have. Normally these guys are just names and pixels on a screen, right, that are really good at Heroes of the Storm. Right. Yeah, following them on Twitter to a degree kind of like builds that, but it's different. It really builds that personal connection that you wouldn't normally have. Like you said, it really humanizes them, which is a problem that major sports enterprises have with their players, right? But even to a degree in esports, because it's just it's an actual person behind the screen and the pixels and stuff. So a lot of people need to keep that in mind. But with that said, I think we should dive into the meat and potatoes of this show, and we're gonna dive into the results and talk a little bit about what happened in ANZ, China, but most importantly, the Western Clash.
So now that the hook is going to help out, and we're going to see Stitch's fall as well. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. It's the 1-for-1 trade as we once again have the Dragon Blade used on the side of Genji. He's trying that in. Dashes out, sail yellow.
That was just about the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's a dance party, and you're invited.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to HGC Western Clash.
So I hear there are no bumper sounds, which is something I don't know if I can fix on the fly for Twitch, but they should be working for the local recording for YouTube. So for that, I apologize, guys. Now, I will try and fix them for the next bumper next time I play it. So, China concluded around the time we were recording the day after we were recording, and we had a little bit of an upset, actually. So let me scroll down here. The one, which was the 3rd seed coming out of China, actually defeated CE. So now some of you remember CE was a team that went to BlizzCon. They failed to go to the midseason brawl, but they showed up well at both Eastern Clashes last year. Routinely kind of like the second best or the best team in China for pretty much all of 2017, competing with Super Perfect Team. And the one were kind of like the newcomers in Phase 2 last year, along with Beyond the Game, the other team that went to BlizzCon. And they actually pulled off the upset with a 3-2 victory over Challenge, and ultimately losing to Super Perfect Team, but finishing as the number 2 seed. So now when we look at the Eastern Clash here, China will be sending 3 teams. Their number 1 seed will be SPT. The number 2 seed will be the 1, and their number 3 seed will be CE. Coming from Korea, the number 1 team will be Tempest. The number 2 team will be Ballistics. Number 3, Blossom. And number 3, KSV, and then number 4, Blossom. Tempest has been a thorn in my side all season because I don't believe in them, and they continuously find a way to throw me off. And last but not least, we also have Loli Miao representing HGC Taiwan by beating the old Please Buff Arthas squad, Soul Torturers. So that'll be up not this weekend, but in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yep.
So
should be fun. It's always I like the Eastern Clash. Everyone gets hyped, for the most part about the Western Clash, but the Eastern Clash is so fun and so interesting because you see some wacky stuff. You see some crazy things happen, and it just brings a lot of hype, and I enjoy it. I like to see the top teams of China going against the top teams of Korea, and just those two guys figuring out which meta they're going to force down the other guy's throat. It's pretty cool. I enjoy it.
Looking forward to it, for sure. And then next up on the results page, and I'm just kind of whipping through this. I didn't get a chance to watch any of the ANZ matches, even though we're a week and a half through ANZ already. But what we have, I haven't watched any of those. Well, you know what it is? They play at such a rough time. Like they start at like 3:30 or 4:30 in the morning over here on the East Coast, which is kind of brutal for us. But basically, what we've got here is sitting in first place is Downfall Gaming at 3-0. They are undefeated so far. Crimson Gaming in second place at 3-1, and Nomia in third at 2-0. I'm not quite sure how the scoring works in that regards because
do they have like a bye week or something? Or?
Well, you know what it is. I'm assuming Nomia plays again on the 8th, so they will catch up to. The games played. They're down and they haven't played 4 games. The other teams have played 3 or 4 games. But I don't understand how a team with 1 loss is ahead of them in the standings. So I really know how that works. So someone knows in chat, they can fill me in on that one. But that's basically where we're off to, starting off there in the ANZ Premier League. So let's see. The most exciting thing that everyone wants to talk about, right, is what just took place this past weekend. So most of us heavily watch. I think it's safe to say the 2 regions that get watched the most would be EU and NA, right? I think that's fair to say. And the Western Clash just took place. And hold on 1 second. I'm going to move us over to here. And there we go. There's the bracket. And everyone can see it. All right. So ultimately, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it yet, Dignitas won. They beat Zealots in a thrilling 6-game series. I say 6, but they both went 3-3. Dig had the 1-game map advantage. And so they won technically in the best of 7, 4-3. How do you feel about that?
I was going to say, how do you feel about that?
So I know Schizo's in chat, and I actually agree with him. And what his solution is I don't think they should get a full game advantage, and I think they do it in the essence of time, maybe, because best of 7 takes so long. But if you're going to do 6, you might as well do 7. And his suggestion, and I agree with him, is you get first map and first pick. So it's basically like you get to pick your map and you get get first pick in the very first game. So it's almost like giving you a victory, but you still have to play, right? But the other
you can pop out, with some Braxis, even though it's typically banned or something. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I get kind of like, so you pick your map the winner the winner from the winner bracket gets to pick the map, and they get first pick.
And they get first pick. I see.
Right, they get both. So
okay, I've seen Bakery say like the winning team gets to select a map before the map ban phase, and then you play on that map, which I think would be pretty interesting. I think that'd be pretty cool. I guess it's kind of the same thing. A lot of teams don't want first pick for a reason. It's part of their strategy, so they go with the map pick. So they go map pick, and then they take the two picks. But I think picking a map before the map ban phase is probably
literally just picking like a map that you've got something that like normally would get banned, and that you've got some pre-made cheese that nobody knows about, right?
Right. Or like a map that people like to ban against you because they just know you're historically
really good at it, right? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it would be in the pool. You're not going to bust out. Oh, we got this haunted mine strategy.
No. I understand what you're saying. It'd be like some Braxis strat that you've got, like say like GFE back in the day on Braxis, right?
Yeah.
But okay, I got you. Yeah, no, I don't really like it because so they finished 3-3, and it was a very back and forth series, and like it could have went best of 9, and it probably still would have been like 5-4 in favor of one or the other. But it's hard to say, like, would Zealots have won that that 7th and final game if they went to it? I don't know.
We'll never know, right? Because Dignitas had a 1 for some reason. No,
I mean, it's not that
I know. They played well. They didn't get knocked down to the losers bracket or anything like that. I also feel like you play the 7 game. That last game that Zealots played. That was their 14th game in a row. So like that's also another like advantage you have over your opponent. That they have to play a sure like number of games. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly think that game could have went to Game 7, and it would have been close because the Zealots are the only team I feel like in EU that have Dignitas's number.
I think that's fair to say. Zealots they lost to Method 3-0, but if you if we were to pull up, and let's see if I can do this real quick on the fly here. If we pull up EU and we go through how they have performed so far this season, Zealots has beaten both Dig and Fnatic, the top 2 teams from Europe. The only team to do that, by the way. No other team has beaten them both. They're the only team to beat Dig, period. But they did lose the Method 3-0. So they do have, it seems like they have something that is in that roster that kind of rises to the occasion when it comes to playing to the top-notch teams in EU. Unfortunately, they also have losses to Tricked and LiQuiuD. So it's like, I don't know if it's just a team that rises to the occasion type thing, and then they're playing like these middle of the road teams, and they play like a middle of the road team. I don't know what that is, but they do have that to their claim to fame. They have beaten the cream of the crop in Europe. So.
I feel like the major strength they have is just their understanding of drafting and how important drafting is. Sorry, the kid just knocked himself out. Hang on.
Uh-oh. No. Well, I think to follow up on what you're saying, and you do your thing, and I'll cover for you if you gotta take care of business. Zealots with ADRD as kind of like the draft wizard, like the Gandalf of drafting, the mad scientist, right?
Yeah.
It's such a huge part of this game. And then like there are moments when ADRD plays and it seems like mechanically he's not able to keep up with like when they played against Korea, right? Like he's not able to keep up, but drafting is such a huge part of the game that having him as your drafter seems like it's such a huge factor for that roster and always or whatever roster he's on.
Also, he understands why teams like Dignitas and Fnatic draft the way they do, and he can because he has that understanding, he can manipulate his drafts to take advantage of a potential weakness in the other draft, like banning Junkrat or banning Blaze. Like how many times did Blaze and Tyrael get through for Dignitas and nobody banned it, and all of a sudden now they're playing Zealots, and Zealots is like, yeah, we'll take away your Blaze, we'll take away your Junkrat. We know you guys like that. That's how you guys like to play. and we'll take our weird stuff and roll with it.
I was just going to big kudos to Zealots because from day one, after losing to Tempo 2-0 early on in the tournament, they seemed to either make the adjustment, caught fire. I'm not sure what clicked. They went on a roll. Like they only dropped 2 maps the rest of the way. They dropped one to Tempo in the losers finals, and they dropped one to Team 12, I believe. And that's it. Like, so kudos to them with their back against the wall. They played exceptionally well to fight their way to the grand final from day one. Day 1 in the losers final, or losers bracket, day 2 in the losers bracket, and then day 3 when they had to play the 14 games, like you said. Yep. So some serious, I don't want to say mental fortitude, but like composure on the part of that team to do that.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's mental fortitude to an extent, I guess. They got to stay strong. They got to not be at each other's throats by the end of the end of those days. And the glue that's keeping them together, the leader, whoever it is, like I don't know if ADRD's the one that steps up and keeps everybody motivated, or somebody on that team, whatever it is, was able to be like, hey, we're just gonna play our game, we're gonna do this, and we're just gonna win. We're just gonna win, keep playing, and focus on winning, and that's it. You look at the games. They with the camera after the games, the camera would pan around or whatever, and you would see the look on their faces. They're just focused. They're focused. They focus on the game, and they kept it together. I think that's a super important trait value to have in players. I feel like you compare that to the NA teams. The NA teams tend to get more emotional. But I mean, I'm sure everybody gets emotional, but
I understand where you're coming from and what you're saying now. So it's I have a question for you now then.
Sure.
Would you say that Zealots are the second best team in Europe now? Would you go that far to say that?
I mean, if we're looking at just what we saw, I guess, yeah. Based off of the results. Based off of the results, yes.
Okay. All right. So you don't sound super confident in it, and maybe it's just because it's one tournament, right?
Yeah. It's one tournament, few days. You got a bunch of variables in there like NA and their drafts, and that you have to consider. Yeah. And when you go back to EU and everybody's back on the European meta, everybody's in EU is doing their thing. Yeah. How well are they going to stack up with Quacknix being back on Fnatic? Since they had a sub plan for him. Like, is Fnatic going to look better? I mean, you would hope, right? So you got to take all those things into consideration. Do I think they're a second place team? I don't know. Do I think they're capable of being a top 2 team? A second place team? Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think so.
I think that me personally, looking at the results, based on the results that we've seen from the squad so far and how they played last year, I think it's a roster, and especially in the step-ladder playoff last year, BlizzCon, where they just narrowly missed out qualifying for BlizzCon. Yeah. I think it's a team, and now, yes, they lost a lot of players during the roster swaps, but they did keep a couple, and I think it's a team with a mentality that can just kind of like, it can catch fire, right? And it's a team that isn't necessarily super consistent, which is a big part of being really successful in Heroes of the Storm at the professional level. But it's a team that can kind of catch fire, and when it peaks, it goes on runs like these, and they almost beat Dig, and there were arguments to be made that if it went to 7, they would have won it. It's that so I think when they're playing their best, yes, they're the second best team in Europe. So pretty much I'm gonna kind of pander like you did, but all right, so yeah, they could be the second best team in Europe, but they're probably not. I don't think their consistency's there yet. I think when they get back to EU and they're playing online, things are going to change, and we'll see Fnatic back with Quacknix. We'll see Method probably play a lot better than they did this tournament, and there are factors to be, those factors involved. There's also LiQuiuD and Tricked right there. You gunning for that 4th spot as well. So we'll have to see what happens. I don't think they are the second best team in Europe going forward, but they were the second best team in Europe on that day. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
All right, so
the second best team in the Western Hemisphere.
There you go. So the next thing I want to talk about is Tempo Storm, the number 1 finisher from NA. They finished in 3rd overall. And they had some really impressive play from their big three. So, ultimately they lost to Dig in the winners finals, and then right after, subsequently lost to Zealots in the losers finals. Right after that, Zealots got the revenge. They lost 3-1 to them. They were swept by Dig, unfortunately. Now, I guess my takeaway from this is, did Tempo rewrite the blueprint for North American success internationally? Do we need to build super teams, or do you need teams that have really high caliber, carry flexes that can play a lot of different roles? Like that was kind of like the key to success for them this weekend. Is not only were the player, it's like, it's a super team, but Psalm, Fan, and Glau give them kind of like some draft flexibility. And it seemed to make the difference for that roster. Now, I didn't get to watch the games as close as I would have liked, because I live in New York and we had a nor'easter and I had no power all weekend. So I've caught some VODs yesterday and today as much as I could, but I didn't get to really watch Tempo like I would have liked to. And I'm just basing these thoughts off of what I've seen on Twitter and Reddit. So I would like to, and Discords, various Discords. So I want to hear your opinion on it. Like, did Tempo find some, like, the secret juice that Michael Jordan had from Space Jam? And like, did they like,
I don't know. So Tempo Storm was definitely the most dominant North American team at this event. And they looked strong, they looked good, but there were so many, there are a few things that happened in these games. They have a few problems, I think, that they need to hash out. Between one of the games, one of the analysts, one of the commentators at the desk, had mentioned that the comms between Fan, Glaurung, and Psalm got a little heated, a little emotional, and it then caused these three players to feel like they had to make plays for their team in order to come back. But the only thing that happened were just more throws and more feeds. So I think, I want to say that. However, I feel that a team like Heroes Hearth, yes, they didn't look as strong, as powerful as Tempo Storm, but what they have among those five players, like interpersonally, and what the skills that they provide, that they have as well, I think with time will be more successful than I think Tempo Storm will. And that, I know that's a spicy take, that's a hot take, but I don't know. I just saw Tempo Storm fall apart, by the end of this event. Whereas Heroes Hearth, they were like, hey, we can do this. We're fine. We're going to play our game and stay strong. And they maintained their composure. Yeah, they got bodied, but they stayed a team.
Yeah.
What I saw from Tempo Storm wasn't that. Now, do I think Tempo Storm can set I guess a blueprint is what you're saying? Like, did they create the blueprint and did they set the standard? I guess as far as play is concerned, yeah. But as far as team synergy is concerned, I think Heroes Hearth did a better job.
Okay. I think that's fair to say, and I'm glad that you picked up on that, because you know what? And he's not here tonight, and but I gotta give him props where to do. Trent mentioned that Tempo would do extremely well on home soil. They wouldn't be hardly challenged, right? Which is not necessarily true, but they are being challenged. Like they lost the best of 5 to Team Freedom, another really solid North American team. But when they went to internationals where team cohesion was more important and talent can only carry you so far, right? That would come back to bite them. And now, if what you're saying is true, and I believe it to a degree because I want to believe it, and that they would flounder internationally because of it when they're facing stiffer competition and talent wasn't enough. So the concern was and always has been with this roster is that you have 3 very, very vocal players on the team in Psalm, Glau, and Fan. And guys who have a history of trying to put the team, and sometimes successfully and sometimes failing, to put the team on their back when things get rough, instead of just like just making a team decision and living or dying with that team decision, right? So
right.
It is a concern that not even just like it's just not just having one of them kind of go off on their own and doing their own thing, but all three of them kind of getting like the Beatles type thing, like they all three of them having their ideas and how to do this.
Right. Yeah.
Now I don't want to say that that's going to be the case, and maybe that wasn't the case. What happened here, I wasn't there, but it is a concern, and you were saying it looked that way on screen, and the casters kind of hinted at it. So going forward, it is a concern with that roster. Maybe. I mean, I guess we won't know until we'll see how the midseason brawl shakes out. Maybe it's too soon to say, but
yeah,
certainly it was certainly a factor of success up to a point. So maybe Tempo Storm is onto something, right? Like, because listen, North America hasn't beaten EU in 2 years, and even though Team 12 was the first team to do it, NA found the most success through Tempo Storm at this tournament. So as I watch them get a stitches stuck in the tree.
So we were looking at we were seeing their drafts during the regular season, the HGC, NA, and people are like, dang, look at their crazy drafts. Like, this is very difficult for us to pick up on. Like, what are they doing? And then Tempo Storm was like, oh, don't worry, we have like more draft. We have like these aren't even our real drafts. We have real drafts coming at this clash. I saw the same things, man. Like, I don't know. Like, okay, he's probably, they're probably just saying that to throw people off, but
yeah.
We saw Kerrigan get picked up and get shut down. Like, it just, I don't know. I was really like, okay, they're gonna bring something here, and they're just gonna knock everybody's socks off and show us that NA is really like a sight to behold, that we really got stuff going for us. But
these boys about to bring the heat, and then
and
then they didn't. No, all right, I hear you. So the next up on the docket then is Fnatic. Fnatic finished I'd say a disappointing fourth, but maybe not. I don't know. So there is a giant asterisk with Fnatic's finish in this tournament. So Fnatic finished fourth. They were eliminated by Zealots in the losers bracket 3-0. They were dumped to the lower bracket by Tempo Storm 3-1. That's a big win for my Tempo, by the way, getting that revenge from BlizzCon. But it's important to note that Quacknix was sick. Did not play, had to leave on day one of the tournament with a viral infection, which is not good. And they had to play with a sub. And how they got a sub there that quickly, I do not know. It was Sonic Le Beast from Switzerland, who is the number one Grandmaster in the EU. So maybe they brought him along as like Quacknix isn't feeling too hot, but he's going to try and play. Maybe that's what it was. Like, he's going to try and play, but if he can't, we got you here, buddy. So, like, I don't know how they got him there so quickly. I can only assume.
I would love to know how they pull that off. Like, maybe he just happened to live next door or something.
I feel like Switzerland and Poland, there's not that close. But I mean, I'm not that up in my EU geography, but whole nother country. So.
It's a different country. That's right.
So I will say this for the guy, though. He absolutely I got to catch these VODs while I was typing up the notes earlier today, and he absolutely styled against Freedom. I can't speak for the other matches, but he styled against Freedom. Man.
He played exceptionally well, considering he doesn't play in a competitive environment. He plays here. He's a Hero League grinder, and anybody that plays on a competitive team knows what it's like to have that Hero League guy come play on your team and try out or whatever. There's a big difference between playing competitive and Hero League. But yeah, he played so well and was able to adjust so well to playing competitively, and then on the stage at that too, on a pretty big stage.
Yeah.
And it was, I'm happy for that guy. I want to talk to that guy. I want to get his experiences. I want to hear his story. I want to hear like what.
I don't know if he has a Twitter or not. I will.
I think he does.
I will certainly reach out to him and see what I can pull off.
Yeah, that guy. That guy can be looked at as motivation, inspiration for some other people. Like you put in the hard work, other people are going to see it, and you're going to have your chance. And he had a chance, and hey. All eyes are on him now.
Exactly. So he's going to be probably. I don't know if he'll be a highly sought after commodity come free agency during the player swaps or not, but he will certainly be on Reddit's radar. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Schizo says he's on a 10th place open division team, Kappa. Well, you know what? He's on a 10th place open division team. He just played at the Western Clash. So I'm pretty sure the next split, some people are going to be looking at him, and it won't be open division teams. Just saying.
Yeah, Schizo called him EU Cure, but wasn't EU Cure supposed to be Roskmeg, who's on Diamond Skin? So I don't know what's going on. I don't know who the EU Cure is anymore, but
EU's got some good players. So
yeah, EU. Well, you know what? It's Heroes' most popular region, right? So like the most amount of, it's got the biggest player base. It's the most competitive player base, the deepest player base.
For sure.
Now, next question I have for you. How much, and it's just a theory crafting question, how much better does Fnatic do with Quacknix there?
I will say they probably do a lot better. He's their shot caller, and he's Quacknix. He's pretty strong. A pretty strong player.
Yeah.
And a leader. He is a leader on that roster, and having that factor on your team in these games is very important. And Sonic LeBeast played well. However, there's a lot of other things that Quacknix has as a player that he brings to his team that will make the team better in general. But I think they probably would have beat Zealots. They probably would have beat Tempo Storm, and they probably would have.
So you think in second place, huh?
I think the Quack factor is that strong.
Okay, the Quacknix Factnix.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's fair. Do I feel as strongly? You know what? I think they would have beaten Tempo Storm. Let's see. Do I think that they would have been? So I think they would have beaten Tempo Storm, and I don't think they would have been dropped to the lower bracket. The next question is: so then they play Dig in the winners bracket. Zealots probably still would have. So the question is: do I believe they beat Zealots in the losers final? I don't know. Zealots was playing exceptionally well. I think
they were.
I think they would have finished. I maybe not second, but I think they would have done better. They would have finished third. That's my guess.
Okay. Fair.
The next team we're going to talk about here is Team 12, North America's number 2 team. They beat Method 2-0 in 2 very close games. That was another series I got to watch this morning. And got the very first North American victory over EU in over 2 years. They got the party started before Tempo Storm and Heroes Hearts chimed in, right? Unfortunately, they subsequently lost to Dignitas 3-1 and then lost to Zealots 3-1, who, I mean, those were the 1-2 teams in this tournament. So there's no shame in losing to the top 2 teams from Europe in this particular tournament. I just want to know, are they disappointed with the results? Do they think they, should they have done better? It's hard to say. I didn't get to see them play. I didn't get to see the Dig or Zealot games, but I did get to see them play Method, and the shot calling looked good. Now they almost lost both games, yes, but they won them, and there was some really cool shot calling. Like, for example, I believe it was the Cursed Hollow game where they had Rhaegar, so they had Buds and Dansky pushing bottom and kind of like trying to bait the team bottom, like, hey, we're either going to take your keep or we're going to take the tribute. And it was just some really cool shot calling in that respect. Or when they clone Justine on the Abathur, by the way, awesome. When they cloned the Grey Mane and took that top keep. It was really great stuff. I didn't see them lose, so I can't really diagnose from that. I don't know if you can elaborate more on that.
So, so Team 12 going into this season was probably like my favorite team. I was like, okay, these guys are going to kick some ass. They're hungry. They have their play style. They know what they want. They know how to play their game, and they're just going to body everybody. And then HGC NA HGC happened, and then Team 12's not looking as dominant as they were. Now it was just like, okay, maybe the other teams are getting better. Okay, well, if that's the case, why is Team TT staying the same?
Yeah.
Or if the other teams are just the same, they sure look a lot worse. I don't know what's going on with that team, but throughout NHGC, they showed us, some kind of questionable stuff. They made it to the Clash on it was pretty much just like, oh, so-and-so lost, we're going to the Clash. Like, I feel like they really didn't lock it in. They didn't show us that they were really the team that we knew when they were Roll 20. And then we go to this Clash, and like, yeah, they play some decent games, but for the most part, it's a bunch of silly little mistakes, a bunch of random feeding, and don't play Stitches ever again. Kappa. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what to say about Team 12. I feel like maybe their comms are a little cluttered, or the communication isn't there. Maybe the team dynamic has kind of changed over time. But something is missing. Do I think it's because Glaurung is gone? I don't know. I'm sure he brought a kind of spark of fire to them, kind of get him hype a little bit, but I don't want to say he was the reason why Roll 20 was better, but I don't know. There's something definitely there, and I don't know what it is, but I wish I knew.
I hear you. So I will take what I can from watching them in North America, and I think they made one too many moves in the offseason. Now, we talked to Yip Boss about it, and he's not in chat tonight. But it feels like Cure isn't quite fitting on the roster. So Heroes is a funny esport in that it's more of you're constantly looking for the right combination of puzzle pieces to fit all the pieces together, right? So everyone's on the same page. It's not always, now, I mean, again, Tempo might be proving this wrong. We don't know. But it's not always about the amount of talent on the roster as much as it is about having everyone on the same page, making, everyone snapping to calm decisions immediately, and just kind of a cohesiveness, an intangible chemistry factor that you can see and feel, but isn't documented on the score screen, right? Yeah. And it feels like the big takeaway from this roster right now that it had last year is that chemistry factor, that kind of like that it factor. Like, that's a roster that was extremely aggressive and would try and get picks last year to win games, and it just seemed that their rotations were so crisp and so sharp, and it was just very on point, and it was just a decision was made, and it seemed like it was the ebb and the flow of that roster just seemed very cohesive, and it's not there now. That's the best way I could describe it. It just feels there's a piece of that team missing, and I don't want to blame Cure, but it feels like he is the piece that is not fitting in the most smoothly. And I think that was now, and the conversation we had with Yip Boss was they went after Dansky from Freedom, and kind of Cure, was the second grab. And it's kind of harsh to say it like that, but yeah, they were happy with Prismat. They had no intentions to get rid of him. And then Cure was like, "Hey, can I come too?" And they were like, "Yeah, I guess that seems like a good idea." And I'm kind of curious if maybe it was one roster move too many. Yeah, and the weird thing is we were all hyped about it because it was Cure going to the role he preferred and was more comfortable in, and it just doesn't.
But he's not. But he's not playing that role as much, right? He's a range carry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they would rather have they prioritize Dansky on the range carry, and then they'll put Cure on Tyrael or something like that. It's weird to me. Like, I feel like they're playing too many things. They're not focused on the style that they want to play. And then even if they did have a style they wanted to play, they can't do it because they have too many people that overlap in playstyle, in hero pools and roles. And I don't know. And after a while, if you're somebody like, for example, I'm just going to use myself as an example. I love playing support. And if I'm forced to have to keep playing, tank or assassin or something, like, I don't find joy in those things. Over time, it's going to take a toll on me. And maybe that's what's happening. I know he's interested in finishing, his school and doing his thing and moving on and whatnot. And maybe that's another factor. But I don't know. There's something that team needs to figure out, and they just need to have the discipline and understanding to just get it done. And if they can't do that, then, well, some other team will be in the top 2, top 3, and it won't be
some other team from NA will be going to the midseason brawl. I hear you. So that is the sad takeaway from this. Now, and I don't want to jump to that yet, but North America will be sending one less team to the midseason brawl than Europe because they lost. So it is going to be a race to the top 2. The next team I want to talk about, we're down to the last 3 here, is Heroes Hearth. And you mentioned before, they played really well as a team. And
they got me motivated, dude.
And for me, that is an incredibly impressive showing for their first LAN event as a team. Now, similar to Zealots, it's a team that came from Open Division. It's a team with a mix of former pros in there as well, so there's talent on that roster, do not get me wrong, but it is a team that came from the Open Division and has not been, well, I guess it's been together longer than a lot of the HGC rosters because they couldn't make any moves, and it seems to be paying in spades because that team is playing really well together right now. Unfortunately, they lost to Dig 2-1 in the first round, but there's no shame in that. Dig is a beast of a team right now, but then they beat Method, arguably the second or third or fourth best team in Europe, and that is a big feat. They beat them 2-1 to eliminate Method from the tournament, knocking them out on day 1, and ultimately lost in day 2 to Fnatic 3-0. No shame in that. Fnatic is a great roster as well.
Yeah, Heroes Hearth definitely came out and they played their game. They had their drafts. They weren't afraid to bust. They played the first Maiev of the entire tournament, and it was just like, okay, these guys, they're gonna have fun. They don't care. They're just gonna bring what they got and have a good time and show us what they got. And you know what? Like, I saw what I saw in Roll20 last year is what I see in Heroes Hearth now. That spark, that drive, that hunger, that camaraderie among the players, and their drafting is so fun. It's so interesting, and the way they play their hero, it's all so cool. And I hope to see them get even better, even stronger, and really be. I honestly want them to, eventually be what represents North America, because
you are fully on the bandwagon, man.
I am on the bandwagon.
Turns out, if you rip off that HGC sweater, you've got the Arthalon jersey on right now.
Check it out. No, I'm just kidding. It's just
Could you imagine?
Yeah. I've got some reservations about some of the roster, but overall, I think it's not. I think it's not bad, and they have what it takes. They do.
Yeah. Shout out to them. They busted out the Maiev, and there is something to be said about the Maiev, and I will talk about it in a second, because the next team we're going to talk about is Method, and it was a team that saw a lot of Maiev in their games. They only banned her twice. They played against her, I want to say 3 times, winning against her once and losing twice to her. So, Method. Extreme, and we're down to the bottom 2, and these are 2 teams that have got to be kicking them. I mean, yes, teams had to finish in the last place, second to last in the last place. Someone had to. But I don't think Method expected to be here. They've got to be disappointed with the results, because that was a roster coming into this I predicted to finish in second place. It's a very talented roster. They were playing extremely well coming into this tournament. And then they were just kind of knocked out in the first day. They were the first European team to lose to a North American team in 2 years. They lost to Team 12-2-0 in the first round. And then shortly after that, on the same day, they lost to Heroes Hearth 2-1. The series against Team 12 was competitive for its worth. They played the full 3 against Team 12, but those are 2 teams that they probably should have beat. I don't know. I can't put my finger on one particular thing, but something that's been thrown around, and I looked at Master League and I watched some of the games. was it bad drafting that cost them? Because they banned Maiev in their very first game against Team 12, but then they let her through and lost to her subsequently. They let Arthalon get her in that Towers of Doom game where they were losing and then they were winning, and then Maiev did Maiev things and and they lost it, dude. And it's just, was that it? Was it just like that? Just not enough respect for NA drafts? Were they unprepared? Like, I don't know if they were looking ahead to the other European teams and were like, we're gonna win these first two series, no big deal. I don't know.
I feel like they underestimated the opposition, maybe just a little bit.
Okay.
They probably, they're like, hey, we're strong. We're confident. We got this, easy game, whatever. And Schwimpy doesn't want to lose at NA, right? Remember, he's like, oh, sometimes you win, sometimes you play NA, or sometimes you lose. Like, he has no. I get it. He's probably having a good time or whatever. But I feel like there is a certain truth to that, to the way he feels about NA or his opponents in general, and I feel like he probably got tilted or something, and was a part of the problem as to why his team did not have success. He had that mental block, and he brought his team down with him. But they'll recover. They were humbled, and they'll go back to EU and play their best and continue to improve. But I think this is a learning experience for a couple of those players and that team in general.
Okay. I think that's fair. But I think that they might have overlooked North America, and I don't think they were alone. I think all of Europe did, I will say. Some of the teams adjusted. Let's look at the Zealots, for example. Some of the teams might have took a little bit longer to adjust, and then look at Fnatic, for example, but recovered. But I think that was the case in general for Europe. I think that it's fair to say that and I'm jumping ahead, but I think North America had the stronger meta coming into this tournament, which is surprising. So woohoo! But I'll take it. And you adjusted, and the talent and the just the EU strength eventually overcame that meta as they adjusted. But it was a quick fix for them. 3-day tournament. But hey, feels good, man. Now, the last team I want to talk about and feels bad, man, is my boys over at Team Freedom.
I see you're not wearing their jersey right now.
Well, my Trollin Blizz shirt from Creators of the Storm came in, so I just wanted to.
Oh, okay.
It came in today, and I wanted to rock that for the show. But otherwise, I was going to wear the Freedom jersey and be like, I still support you. You got all my strength, boys. But unfortunately, they've got to be kicking themselves. Now, I don't think that they expected to win the tournament, but I certainly think that they were, by going to EU, boot camping to EU, adjusting to the EU meta, and not throwing everything they've got out there, but learning and trying to get ready for this tournament. Boot camping in EU, I thought that their thinking was, we're going to try and finish as the best team from North America, whether that's a top 4 finish or top 3, whatever their goal was. Unfortunately, I have concerns, and it's, call me a liar, because I thought boot camping in EU was a good idea. I mentioned it last week on the show before the tournament. Maybe it hurt them, because turns out North America had the better meta, and we get, maybe, I don't know. It's like, the only Freedom set I got to watch was the very last game against Zealots, which was on Volskaya, and it was a bloodbath. And then the other set I got to watch was the Fnatic set, where Sonic played really well and Freedom didn't. I don't know how else to put it. It's just, I don't know if boot camping in the EU hurt them, and it gave away too much of what they like to do, and that worked against them in the drafts. Maybe they just played poorly. I can't say. I don't know if you saw anything that I didn't, but
I maybe the boot camping in the EU, they went and they were just getting slapped around, and then they lost their confidence and feel like, oh, let's just get first, because they didn't pick a single map, right. And they got first pick every time, and they're like, we'll just get a good strong pick in the first pick, and then just start responding to what they're doing, and maybe have some semblance of a plan of our own. But I didn't see any confidence in their drafting, in their decision making, in their shot calling. So maybe the boot camp, there's probably something there. They got slapped around a bit, and they're like, but we know how these guys like to. Well, we see how these guys like to play. We'll just take the first pick, get it something good, and then fill in the holes. But
no, I could be misremembering. I thought the caster said that they were doing well in their scrims. Gavin, I could be wrong. I might be misremembering.
I mean, yeah, we're doing well. That could mean we're losing all our games barely, or we're winning all of our games, or it's 50-50. Like, I don't know. I would take that with a grain of salt.
Schizo makes a good point. They did in their games against Fnatic. They did let Maiev through in both games. So, and I forgot about that. And that was which is funny because that was a very EU move in general, because EU were not that high on Maiev. Because I said
it's the
Fnatic,
EU.
right?
It's the EU boot camp. They played in EU. They scrimmed in EU for that time, and nobody was prioritizing Maiev at all. And here comes NA throwing Maiev around, and they're like, "Oh, snap!"
So
let's ban.
So you know what, and I can't really blame that thought process, right? Okay, EU's the better, they have the better, they're the better region. They've probably got the better meta. Let's go bootcamp in EU. Let's get the EU thing going, and we are going to be the best team from NA because of that, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, 9 times out of 10, you're right, and it just happened to be the 1 time out of 10 that NA had the better meta. So turns out Maiev's really good. Who knew? I don't know. Maybe her win rate should have keyed someone in on that one. But anyways, bummer. I hope Freedom goes back to the drawing board and really puts her nose to the grindstone and just puts the work in and really improves. Zug, Illusion, Lutano, Yoda, all you guys.
That's a good good group of guys. That's a good group of guys, and they got what it takes. They needed that. They needed that little experience. They needed that shake up. And okay, now that we've tasted what's out there, now that we've seen what else is out there in this world, let's go back home. Let's train, and then let's go back and make it ours. Like that overall, this should have been a good experience for them, regardless of the results. So I'm sure they had a lot of time to self-reflect.
So the next thing I want to mention is, or the last couple of questions I want to say is, now, I wonder, because the initial conclusion was North America closed the gap, right? We're close to EU now. Now, the question is, did we close the gap, or did we just have the stronger meta at this particular time, and come mid-season brawl, we're still going to get bodied because we're really not better? It feels like once EU adjusted, we started dropping like flies. We won those at that initial salvo, that first round, and then day 2 EU made the adjustment, and the cream of the crop rose to the top, as it should.
Yeah.
Minus 10.
So they adjusted. I feel like skill wise, the gap is closed. Early drafting in the sense, yes, but then once the problem is, I feel like EU catches on to what we're doing faster than what NA catches on to what anybody else is doing, and to what anybody else in NA is doing. Everybody knows how to play their game. They just don't understand how to defeat opponents' games or understanding that you need to take away or ban something that the enemy team likes to run, that they like to take. Tempo Storm was so stubborn when it came towards the end, where they let Blaze Tyrael through all the time, and it was just you guys are getting bodied by it. Nothing you guys do is gonna matter because of Sanctification and Bunker. Why are you still letting them get it? They're obviously very comfortable with this, and they're gonna keep beating you with this. Cut it out. But we're stubborn, and we didn't want to. So I feel like that's an NA thing that we're gonna have to learn and get over
and adjust from. All right, and then the last thing I want to ask, we already kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'll see if there's any other key points that we want to bring up. Should Fnatic, Method, and Freedom be concerned based on these results? I'm gonna scratch Fnatic out right off the dot and say no. Giant asterisk. They were playing without Quack. So I guess. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, but I think Method and Freedom, should they be concerned?
I don't think they should be concerned. Freedom, they have the potential to step up and be a better team and learn from this. And I feel like their range of improving is probably greater than that of Team 12's. They can overtake Team 12, I feel, at this point. Method, they're a high speed, high momentum, just badass team. They're gonna improve, they're gonna be hungry, and they're gonna make EU better. assuming they didn't get too tilted from this
event, right?
Which I don't think is the case. I don't think that's the case.
All right.
But I don't think these guys should be worried at all.
Okay, so they'll bounce back. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I know Schizo in chat, and they should be very concerned considering the results before the Clash losing to SSG. Like, come on now, SSG, they got their own stuff they got to work out. So, and they're working it. They're gonna work it out. And they're gonna do it. But whatever. Anyways, Schizo always trolling.
Oh, always. All right, so let's transition out of here. And I just want to talk about some of the meta notes I got here from MasterLeague.net. Towers of Doom was played 11 times. It was the number 1 map played in this tournament, followed by Battlefield of Eternity. And then, interestingly enough, Volskaya Foundry was played 7 times. So the new Volskaya, I guess the pros like it because they played it 7 times.
Yeah, Towers of Doom. I think it's one of those maps where you're not really relying on. Yes, there's some crazy strats. Yes, there's a bunch of weird stuff you can run on any map. But
yeah,
Towers of Doom is one of those maps where you can't hit the core. You can't make a core call and lose to a core call or anything like that. You have to play the map out, and the team that's better overall is going to win. I think Towers of Doom is going to be the new Cursed Hollow, so to speak, from last year. Like Cursed Hollow was such a staple.
Yeah,
and now we're seeing it less and less because I think because of that core call, that core rush, it's not possible on Towers of Doom. But it kind of, in a sense, you could play it like Curse Hollow. You could play it as a global. You don't need a global. There's a bunch of factors. It's a very flexible map.
Right. I think it's fair. I just the biggest takeaway for me was I was surprised that we saw so much Volskaya, and I'm very happy for that because it's a cool map. That's why.
Yeah, it's a cool map. Interesting. Like it's kind of like an Infernal Shrines. You got your lanes, and then you fight over a point, and then at the end, a big giant thing comes and kills you. So, I mean, it's cool. But that thing, you control that thing, and I don't know. It's a cool map, and I think it's got some issue. I've got some issues with it personally, but it definitely makes for some pretty fun games.
I think it's fair. The new Protector, whatever it's called, is a little OP.
Yeah.
But yeah. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the top first ban was Tracer, banned in 10 matches. So number 1 top first ban, and then the top first pick was Malfurion. Was the number 1 pick 13 times.
Malfurion's good. He's a good hero.
Turns out Malfurion is good. Weird.
Yeah.
The next thing that was interesting was this tournament in particular was not as diverse as they normally are. So, interestingly enough, I remember the midseason brawl. We almost saw all the heroes we played, and I mean maybe that's the nature of the beast because of the round robin group stage. But 32 of the 77 heroes were not played. Basically, a little less than half, if I'm doing my math right. So like, tons of heroes not seeing play in this one. Like, no Anna, no Alistraza, like no Oriel. Just as some examples. So, Vala, not a single Vala game. Now I understand she's not in the meta right now, but like not even one.
Yeah, so. I'm honestly surprised we didn't see any Rainer, but I'm just kidding. No, I look at these other heroes that weren't played, and it's just like, yeah, they're cool, but there's just something that they're so I don't know, like a lot of these heroes' kits are can be exploited by something simple or they get punished hard or whatever, or they lack something that somebody else brings to the composition. Illidan, yeah. And honestly, I'm surprised we didn't see any Samuro. I figured we'd see a Samuro or something like that.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, so on Infernal Shrines, we didn't see, like, there weren't a ton of Infernal Shrine games, but no Alistraza, and that's a big map for her. So I was just stuff like that were
yeah. Like at NA, we love Alistraza, but we didn't bust her out because we're scared of Tracer or something, or Tracer was up, or I don't know. Or
I guess there's a lot of factors.
Genji. Yeah, when you're playing on
disappointing.
a land setting with 0 ping against like some truly skilled players,
Yeah.
it gets scary to play. You know, heroes that have glaring holes in their kids that can be exploited. But I don't know.
So the next thing I want to talk about is basically Maev saw 100% popularity rate, so still broken, Blizzard, so keep that in mind. She had a 60% ban rate, 40% pick rate, with a 66% win rate. So if she made it through the draft, she was winning the game most likely. 12 wins to 6 losses. Blaze, who has been popular, as I've noted because I'm a big Blaze fan, in-game, 93% popularity rate, 75% pick rate. So we were seeing him in 3/4 of the games with a 58% win rate, which is pretty damn solid.
Yeah, Blaze is awesome. He's pretty strong.
He's a beast.
That bunker.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention is basically like if you took the top picked heroes and went with that and made threw a comp together, you get Tyrael, Blaze, Malfurion, Tracer, and Greymane, excluding the Uther. Not doing double sport, sorry. So fun fact. All right, now go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say not as much Greymane.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that in the notes. Yeah, I wrote it. Not as much Greymane as you expect. So we only saw him in 51%, or even less than 50% of the games. Interesting because he had a decent win rate, right? But we didn't really see him played as much, right? So he had a 60% win rate with a 51% popularity rate. So I don't really know why that was the case. They haven't really touched him. He's still a great all around hero.
Well, I mean, he did have a little rework. He did lose a little bit of his damage, but he's still good. He provides other things to your compositions, like he can go and take camps. And
he's just got such a great kit, right? Like, so he's so versatile. He can fit into so many different drafts. It's just
and sometimes you don't need Greymane. Sometimes somebody else fits there. Like, they've got a nice front line. We'll just take Tychus or something in there over Greymane. I'm interested to see what happens going forward with Greymane. And because some other heroes got changed and whatnot, I kind of get the feeling that we're going to see some other heroes that we've been missing kind of rise back up a little bit. But that's another discussion for another day.
So last week on the show, as you guys know, we did a pick'em, and Cavalier Guest, LiQuid, and myself filled out a bracket, a pretend bracket, and tried to pick the winner. Cavalier Guest and I picked the winner in Dignitas. Woo! Not a super ballsy pick. LiQuid picked Fnatic, and that didn't work out, but he also didn't expect Quackness to not play. The scoring system's kind of wonky, probably not perfect, but based on the way it works out, I had 8 points. LiQuid and Cav both had 6, so just a little pat myself on the back moment. Yeah, nailed it. And with that being said, I'm going to press the emergency bumper here because I want to talk a little bit about the Open Division Here's the Dorm before we sign out of here.
And the number one storm is awaiting them. Welcome to the paint train. Kill the boss! Can they do it? It's too much damage for me! And that's GG!
All right, we are back. So, last week, we left off with Trait Value and Team Nightcare facing off in the semifinals. I'm sorry. Trait Value and EID facing off in the semifinals versus Team Nightcare and Rogue et Al in the semifinals for the games to be played after the show was over. Ultimately, Trait Value beat EID 2-1, followed up by Team Nightcare winning 2-0 versus Rogue et Al. In the third place game, EID won 2-1 versus Rogue et Al. And then in the finals, Trait Value won 2-1 versus Team Nightcare. Now, Trait Value did some interesting stuff. If I remember correctly, we're talking a week ago now. They had some pretty cool drafts and won that way. I don't want to say there was a Gazlo game, but I think there was a Gazlo game.
I played Open Division 1 week for fun with a couple buddies, and we got to play our Trait Value in the first round. That was our first game, and they threw Choke all around like it was nothing. It was pretty. It was pretty fun. It was fun. It was fun.
So kudos to them. And then if we switch over here, I'm going to take a look at the standings real quick. And sitting in first place, and now some of these teams, like Team XD, no longer exist. As
no, they're back.
They are back. They rebuilt. Yeah. Okay, good.
They rebuilt. Yeah, pretty much. I think it's the same roster as before. There were some changes on SMV that had to happen, and now XD's back.
Okay, so because one of the two teams pilfered some of the players, or did they back and forth? I'm not as hip into the amateur drama that seems to constantly be going on.
Yeah. So from what I understand, a couple players from XD left to SMV because a couple players from SMV were removed, and then XD was like, "Well, we don't have a team anymore." They play a week, and then SMV realizes we don't need these two. Let's bring these other two guys back and then make an adjustment somewhere else. And then XD was able to reform.
So it's back to the roster that won Cup number 4, or
if I'm not mistaken, yeah. XD is Jin, and I think it's still in Tori, Talking Trees. I forget. I don't know. I don't remember.
It's hard to keep up, and you wonder why Blizzard implemented the roster restrictions. Now, I'm not going to say that this would be happening in HGC if that wasn't the case, but it probably wouldn't be too far from it. Shots fired from
yeah.
Sorry. It's just as a fan, I hated it, so I kind of like the restrictions.
From what I understand, I think SMV is still looking for a 5th. So if you guys are out there and think you got what it takes, hit one of them up or something. But I don't know. You didn't hear that from me.
There you go. Well, SMV is currently sitting in 4th place with 410 points. XD is in 2nd with 405. Team Nightcare sits in 3rd with 250. Oh My Science sitting in 4th with 220. Rogue at Awe in 5th with 160. EID in 6th with 160 as well. Gazwa, a team I hadn't heard of, but I guess if you keep playing in cups and you do all right, you get 130. And then the all-important 8th spot is held by Pride Star Gaming / Protected, by the way, with 120 points. ODI, you are on the outside looking in, and LiQuid wanted me to mention this. They are looking for an analyst. So, ODI, looking for an analyst. If you're listening, reach out to LiQuid on Twitter or email Trollin HGC, and DMs are open, and let him know. He is the manager for that squad.
Curious, when they say analysts, like someone's looking at a bunch of numbers, or the one someone looking at replays, like
I don't know the specifics, but if you reach out to LiQuid, LiQiuD Twitter, he has his DMs open, and you can get more information there. Here we go with the outro. Thank you all for listening to Trollin HGC, a weekly podcast about Heroes of the Storm eSports, and a member of the Trolls.gg Entertainment Network. We stream live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TrollsGG, every week on Tuesdays at 7:30. Now, like I was trying to say, next week, I'm not going to be around. I have to work, and I'm not sure LiQuid will be either. We're going to do an Eastern Clash preview. I just don't know what day. We won't be able to do it Tuesday, so be on the lookout for that. I will try and keep you all up to date as best I can. With that being said, Gonjagoon, where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter. It's at Gonjagoon, Gonjagoon. You can also, I post there about my streams. I'll flame people on Twitter. No, I'm just kidding. You can also catch me on my stream, twitch.tv/Gonjagoon. I stream my Hero League games. I talk about, trying to improve, learning the game. I play other games as well, mostly HOTS. I'm pretty much just HOTS only at this point. I'll sneak in something else every once in a while. But I've also got a Discord. If you go to my Twitch or my Twitter, you can see it there. We're always talking about HGC stuff. You can catch the Armchair HGC updates in that Discord as well. And then I also, if people are interested, I do like to coach. I do coach and do mentoring and stuff like that. So if you're interested in learning and improving in your Heroes of the Storm gameplay, hit me up, let me know. Free of charge. I just want the community to get better, and we get better together, working together. But yeah.
Steel sharpens steel.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. So don't keep all that knowledge to yourself. It doesn't help anyone else. Guys, you can follow me on Twitter at BahgzHGC. You can watch me stream on twitch.tv/Bahgz. As well, if you enjoyed tonight's show and are interested in Blizzard's other eSport offerings, consider subscribing to the Weekly Blizz, where my buddy Gwaz and I cover all of Blizzard's eSports. It can be found on all podcast sources. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. Now, I already mentioned it at the top of the show. I'm going to mention it again. Thank you. You guys are the reason why we're able to do this. You are our bosses, so to speak. And I want to give a special thank you to Chieftain Super Dave for your very, very generous patron support. You can follow the show at Trollin HGC on Twitter for show announcements and Heroes of the Storm news. And you can also watch us stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/trollsgg. You can also subscribe to the show on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. And make sure to let us know how we're doing by giving us a 5-star review or a 4-star or a 3-star on iTunes, but preferably a 5-star. You can also visit the website at trolls.gg and read our articles and catch up with the podcast on demand. And if you need to get in touch with us, Twitter DMs are open, or email us at trolling@trolls.gg. With that, we will see you in the Nexus. Peace out.
Peace.